Century Child is your fourth album in this constellation. So what's different for you this time?
I think the major difference lies in the vocal performances. Especially the use of Tarja's voice on this album is more soft, more emotional than before. It's like one instrument among the others, not just the lead vocalist. You can still hear the good old opera Tarja there occasionally, but still it's very different from what we've heard before. And the other point is of course the use of male vocals, which is much more dominant than on the previous albums.
So how do you think about the changes that have taken place using your voice?
Well, actually, I think that is very nice, and I was looking forward this already, and I may say now that I have something else to think on a stage and in live performances, and giving me privileges a lot to sing with Marko, and Marko is a really profi musician, so I cannot complain at all, and he's very good into what he's doing, and now we all are very happy to have him with us.
So you already mentioned the fact that you have a new bass player and also a new singer with Marko in the band. So how did you hear that you have a new singer in the band? Wasn't that quite a surprise for you?
Yeah, of course it was a surprise, but it was a lucky surprise, and I was happy to hear that when Thomas has decided, because I was already in Germany at the time when this movement happened, and yeah, Thomas has made a decision, and it was easy to do, or what?
Yeah, it was. It was a thing that I wanted from the very beginning, even before I started making the first song for this album.
Okay, so that brings me just to the so-called songwriting process. It would be very interesting to get to know something about that process that has taken place before the recording of Century Child. How was it like in comparison to the other albums you did before?
The songwriting process itself was just the same as before, but it definitely was the hardest album to make, to compose, to produce, to record everything. But the songwriting process, like first I have the idea, then I make the song itself, after that the arrangement, then the lyrics, it remained the same. But the songs were a little bit hard to get out this time, if you might say it so.
Very simple question. Why?
Well, first of all, the expectations, both from within the band, within myself, and also from the public, were so high that the amount of pressure was also quite high. But there was a lot of things going on in my personal life and also in the music business and within the band. It was a very stressful time for all of us. So making the songs was a kind of hard process because of that.
Did it have an impact not only on the music but also on the lyrics?
Absolutely. I think it's definitely the darkest album, both musically and lyrically, that we've done so far.
What I consider is quite interesting is that the guitars are more heavy than they were ever before. What were the reasons for deciding that? Was it just a process that took place when you were in the studio doing the production, or was it a conscious decision you did before?
It was a shitty year, and I wanted to make a record full of those feelings that I felt, and it just fitted well that the guitars and the basses would be more upfront this time, to make it a little bit more heavier than you are used to in a normal Nightwish song.
So what was it like for you that you were faced with this wall of guitars when you entered the studio?
Well, first time when I heard the songs, they were on a demo tape, and they sent it to me to Germany, and wow, I wasn't in a shock, but I was surprised. And then I started to, after each listening of the demo already, I started to realize that what's going on, and what kind of music I should interpret now, and what kind of feeling I should have on this album. And then when I read the lyrics, so then totally I understood that this is something else now. This is something new for me to do. But I think that it was the easiest process for me this time to be on the studio and sing these songs. I don't know why. Maybe maybe inside of me there is a melancholy, and I prefer to sing more hard songs than love songs. Even though I'm a very happy person, but still though I like to sing very sad songs.
What I heard is that you are more interpreting the stuff that is brought to you, and that you are not taking part in the creative process of the band. So is that the role you understand yourself within the band?
Yes, it's a certain kind of role. During these 5 years, of course, the image of the band, and I am putting my face for the band, and yeah, it's a certain kind of role. I'm not a rock lady myself. I'm not anything like that. So
Yes, you are.
yeah, but yeah, it's a different life. It's a different music, but it's part of me. Very big part of me nowadays.
Thomas, when did you hear for the first time that Tarja decided to go to Germany and to leave Finland? And what was it like when you heard that?
I think what it was like already before I started making Sensory Child, and I thought it was actually a great thing because she didn't get what she wanted from Finland, and now she got the opportunity to go to Germany and do the thing that she wants. I think it was really cool, and it's for the band. It's just the same if you live in Helsinki or
Yes.
Germany.
Yes.
Just a 2-hour plane trip, and that's
No
it.
difference.
There's absolutely no difference in it. And for example, coming here, it's much easier that she's already here. We're
Yeah.
saving some plane tickets.
Yes.
So band life is easier nowadays?
When I'm gone. Okay.
Yeah, okay. So we have to talk about that. There were rumors that you are leaving the band, or that the future is not sure what is going to happen. Now it's up to you to comment on the whole situation. I think you both are here and you can explain everything to your fans.
Yeah, dear fans. No, well, the fact is that I made my decision, I think 1.5 years ago or 2 years ago, to leave to Germany or to live somewhere to continue my studies, because I felt unhappy in a situation that I have been living over 5 years, because of the fact that I was already classical singer, not a professional singer, but starting something with the classical music before Nightwish. And then Nightwish came into my life. Everything happened very fast. The career of Nightwish has been like this all the time, growing and success. And that is all of a sudden everything happened, and I needed to start take a control of my own life, my own private life. And that's why I left to Germany, because there were no chance for me to follow my dream in Finland. So yeah, the fact is that nowadays I'm living in Germany. I'm making hopefully my diploma in a couple of years, if everything goes okay. And yeah, after that, who knows? But we are going to have a break with Nightwish now,
The year 2003.
2003.
One source where that rumor came from was a band that was on tour with you. I'm just talking about that statement that Kimberly did on the Synergy homepage. What did you feel like when you read this statement? Because I think it concerned private talks between you and Kimberly.
Yeah, in a way I understand her point, because she really wants to be honest with her fans and tell where the band is going and so on, but I really didn't appreciate her going, like, explaining what's happening in our camp, because some things that she wrote there weren't true. She said that Nightwish was gonna break up, which is absolutely not the case, so it's not her job to inform where we are going.
You already mentioned the fact that the career of Nightwish just grew very stale. Are you conscious of what you reached at your very young age?
Oh, I'm not. I'm old witch. No, well, no. We are very old. We are very young still. I know that, of course, and they are, like, for example, now we have Marko with us, which is a little bit older guy, and having 2 beautiful sons, and yeah, he has experience of life, of course, much more years than us. And is something that it's like a fairy tale, this whole story of Nightwish. It has been during these 5 years. Nobody expected anything like this to happen, no success, nothing like that. Even the labels, nobody. So we are living this dream and we are following this, and every day is a surprise and every day has to be taken as it is.
And on the other hand, success was not always that good for your personal career because it made it more difficult for you in Finland. That's what I heard.
Yeah, that is the fact that I couldn't continue my classical so-called career. Yeah, that was hard.
Another thing we should talk about is your cover version you did on Century Child, The Phantom of the Opera. Very simple question. Why did you choose that piece of music to interpret it?
Well, it's a simple answer too, because it's such a good song, and it's also a kind of song which relates to Nightwish really good. You know, it might have been just as well made by us. All the chords, vocal lines, everything, just like Nightwish. So it was an easy process to take a little rough edge into that song like we did.
Did it also have something to do with the fact that you have that Beauty and the Beast subject in it again?
Right, Phantom, opera, la la la, Beauty, Beast, everything. So it was just a perfect match. That's why.
What stands behind that Beauty and the Beast subject? I never got the point of it, to be honest. And what was the reason for choosing that subject? Because I think those two vocabularies, they also appear in many of the Nightwish songs.
First of all, it's the matter of symbolism. I like to play with symbols and so on. And Beauty and the Beast, like two different sides of everything. And then there's this Nightwish thing, where there's one beauty and four beasts, so it's easy to relate to that too.
Okay.
And I don't know, it's also one of the best movies I ever saw. So.
Okay. It's very interesting to have you both here at the moment because many fans identify Nightwish with your person and you're the creative person behind everything. So it would be very interesting to get to know how would you characterize each other. So what is Tuoma's opinion about Tarja?
Okay. Now tell everything.
I think Tarja is one of the most charismatic persons I've ever met. You know, every time she enters a room or a stage, she fills the whole area, if you know what I mean. So she really has that inner charisma in her. And for me, she's also like the best interpreter of my music and my feelings. And for that, I owe her a lot.
The other way around?
Wow. Well, when I got to know Tuomas, we were quite young already. We were something like 12 years old, but I didn't know him so well. And I may say that I know him pretty well now during these 5 years we have been together. But the fact that he's always a mystery. He has always inside of him a mystery, and that's one of his richness. How can I say that? It's the best thing to have. Not to give all for everybody, to keep yourself as you are. And yeah, I am. He's making me surprised. Each of the album, for example, Career of Nightwish, is like there is no way back. He's always following his dream, and I really appreciate it a lot. He's a very strong person.
We've already been talking about the fact that Marco is new in the band, and you mentioned that he's singing for 15 years now, and you're doing that in that style of music for 5 years. So do you think that you can learn something from him, or are you learning actually?
He's so free, I think. He's unbelievable. He's so free, and that's something to learn.
It's the thing he does. It seems so easy, you know. It's just playing the bass, smoking a cigarette, and singing like hell.
Yes.
He makes it seem so easy. and I don't think he ever got to any school or anything. So he's a self-learned singer.